campus of Lafayette College. We're in Easton, Pennsylvania, and this is Signing Day Central, presented by Coke Zero. I'm Gary Laubach, along with Mike Joseph, and if those of you who are across the country are watching for the first time on GoLeopards.com, Mike and I do the broadcast of every Lafayette College football game during the season. We've been doing it for quite a few years, and it's an exciting day for us because we now look forward to the talent that these new young men will bring to Lafayette College. First year of scholarship football in the Patriot League. So it is certainly an exciting day, and we're glad you have decided to join us. If you are just joining us, you did miss the 1 o'clock segment where we discussed the 10 offensive players who are going to be coming to Lafayette College. Down the road, you can go on GoLeopards.com. This will be archived, and you'll have an opportunity to go back and look at that information. But right now, Mike, we're going to talk about the defense. And, you know, everybody says about offense putting fannies in the seats, but defense wins championships. So defense is certainly a very important part of the football side of the football.
Yeah, and especially for Lafayette this year, they're going to have to find a way. We talked about stopping the run, and it starts really up front. You can see from some of the offensive guys that they brought in, moving the football, containing, and really controlling the line of scrimmage is a number one thing that they want to start to do. But on the defensive line side, you got to stop the run. They graduate 3 top defensive linemen, including their senior captain from last year, so Lafayette looking to fill some holes.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and that certainly was a greater need. There was a greater need on the defensive side of the football than perhaps on the offensive side of the football, and that's what they wanted to at least focus on.
Yeah, and especially up front, that's what we're talking about. Linebacker-wise was a question mark coming in last season. Lafayette was very, very excited about the way their linebackers worked out with Aloy and Bowles and some of the kids that came along. The secondary looks to be set. They're going to lose a corner, but good safeties in another corner. Randall Logan will be back. So Lafayette looking for shore things up front on the defensive line side.
And it looks like we have brought in some good defensive linemen and certainly some linebackers who will be ready to adjust, mature, and get ready to take that spot in the next year or two. Let's start with Colin Albershard. He is a defensive lineman, 6'2", 245 pounds, out of Castle Rock, Colorado. So our second Colorado kid, we mentioned at the 1 o'clock hour that Lafayette went into Colorado hoping to get 1. They ended up getting 2. And this young man is projected to be either an outside linebacker, an inside linebacker, or a defensive end. That tells me he is agile, he is quick, and can play anywhere.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny, he wears number 8 as a defensive lineman, which tells me that he's an athletic kid. And up front, you know, when he really stood out to me, he was one of the kids that I looked at, I just said, wow, he's a beast, this kid. He can bench press 345. He can run about a 4.68 40 coming out of college. He reminded me of a kid we faced at Georgetown, Robert McCabe. Terrific linebacker. All you can do is say McCabe, you say 150 tackles. So, but this is a kid that can play on his feet. He's a hybrid. He can play with his hand in the dirt. I think he can help Lafayette next year on the defensive line, but you can see the acceleration coming off the backside. Got a good get-off. They always talk about a defensive lineman having a good get-off. You're going to see him right here. Just gets off the football quick, identifies, uses his hands up front as a defensive lineman. Good grab and shuffle right there, gets to the quarterback.
And he had great numbers, 95 tackles. He had 6 sacks during his senior year, forced 2 turnovers. He was a Root Sports All-State Defensive Line Player of the Year. Comes with a great deal of enthusiasm and certainly the kind of defensive lineman we're looking for, or perhaps even an outstanding linebacker.
And Gary, before we go on to another guy, he's a kid that turned down a lot of schools. Look at like Eastern Washington and Montana State. Brown and Princeton. This is, again, a kid that Lafayette had an opportunity because of the scholarship situation to get their foot in the door. They did. Second kid from Colorado.
All right, let's move on to Alexander Alex Alfred III, a defensive lineman, 6'2", 250 pounds, out of Morristown, Tennessee. Our second Tennessee young man coming to Lafayette. He wants to be a mechanical engineer. What better place to come to do that? Played defensive end and middle linebacker, leading his squad to the playoffs in the state 2011 and 2012.
Yeah, another kid from Tennessee here, strong, powerful. You see him there, number 55, good acceleration, but thick up front. A little bit raw. You're not sure where you're going to put him right now, but I tell you what, you see him right there. The ability to get up, get rid of a block, violently get to the quarterback. Just another good get. You can see this is the type of kid Look at that acceleration right there. Through two people, eyes to the football, identify the play. And which I like about some of these kids up front is they're thick and they're run stoppers, and that's what Lafayette needs.
He also is the kind of young man you'd love to see walk on campus. He did a lot of community service work the last 3 years, and he's a young man that is an outstanding, and I mean outstanding, student with a 3.8 GPA. Connor Bohr. He comes from Voorhees, New Jersey, not all that far away. He is a linebacker, 6 foot, 220 pounds, another terrific student. Wants the major in neuroscience, 2012 Offensive Player of the Year. He was a quarterback, a defensive back, a linebacker, a punter, a kicker, a 3-year starter. What else could he have done?
Well, I'll tell you what, and again, just a big kid that's 6'1", 6'2", over 200 pounds. You think maybe Connor down the road might morph into maybe an outside linebacker or a will linebacker. Right now you see him playing some free safety, the way he accelerates. He's not afraid to get his nose into the mix. I see him as a big athletic kid. The question is, does he grow out of the safety position and become a linebacker? Lafayette not bringing in a lot of linebackers, so it might be a situation where he has one of a few linebackers in the class. A big athletic kid can get on special teams.
And a number of Patriot League schools went after this young man, and he decided to come to Lafayette College. Ben Carroll is a defensive back, at least projected to be that. And I think maybe the most important thing you need to know about Ben Carroll is he's out of Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, but he went to St. Xavier, and that is a great football school.
Well, I look at the schedule, what they played the schedule. I see Moeller High School. Everybody knows Moeller. I see teams like Trinity from down in Kentucky, St. Ignatius. I mean, these teams are legendary teams around not only in Ohio, but Pennsylvania and all around the area. So, again, down at the bottom, you're going to see them right here. Good size, good instincts. Very nice footwork. Watch him here just wheel and run with the out and up. He's in position. He makes a play. And this is against good competition. You see some of these teams you're not just putting kids out there that can't run and jump and play football. These are top teams in the state. Watch him come off that route there, wheel route, sees second player in the flat, breaks on it, makes the interception very easy. Again, down here at the bottom, you're going to see just good instincts, good footwork. Watch him sink between two receivers, comes back up, makes a hit, not afraid to be physical as well. So just a good player, good technique, and what I like is he's been well coached, plays against some great competition.
And we talked during the offensive side how nice it is to have wide receivers at that 6'2", 6'3" size or bigger. Well, it's not so bad to have a secondary guy who's 6'2", and that's what he is, 6'2", 190 pounds. So he'll match up very well with some of those new kinds of receivers that we're seeing.
Absolutely, and Jared Roberts, big kid. We love Jared Roberts, fits into that same mold.
Next up is Robin Cepeda, a big, strong kid, defensive lineman, 6'2", 270 pounds, out of Patterson, New Jersey, played for Passaic Tech. He was also recruited by other Patriot League schools. He has decided to come here. Mike, this looks like a good find.
Yeah, again, just another stout kid, just great get-off, strong, really nasty again. We said that once before, just nasty at the point of attack, really brings everything he has. I love the way he gets off the football. He had a couple choices as well. I mean, 6'2", 275 pounds. Is he a defensive lineman? I think he fits right into that mold as a run stopper. Remember, we have to replace some big kids up front. Marshallak, I mean, there's a kid you got to replace, and obviously the senior captain. So this kid fits right into that mold. Another stout. This is one of about 10 kids that really can play up front, and they're not just big log stoppers. They're kids that can play on their feet and with their hands. They're athletic.
Yeah, 270 pounds coming in. And we've got a bunch of those kids coming in that are up in that 270, 280 range, coming in as freshmen. And that just tells you how big people are becoming anymore. They just get bigger and bigger in high school. Draylon James is a defensive back, 6'1", 190. He's going to be pre-law. He played corner, safety, wide out in high school in Florida, out of Jacksonville, Florida. And he's just an outstanding athlete. I mean, he is a sprinter. He was the top track and field individual in their high school. He's a member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Draylon, he looks just like a great player, Draylon James.
Yeah, and he's a ball hawk. The number one thing I wrote down, I put 3 stars right next to his name. I just love the way he plays. I mean, he's athletic. Look at him here. He follows the football. He gets off of a tackle right there. You see the acceleration. I mean, he's a kid I think you can put all over the field. I really can do some things right here. Good stance. A defensive back that you come out and you watch him on film as a high school senior. Watch that wheel route right there. He rolls with one route, he wheels his hips and speed turns, gets to the backside, just does everything you look for as a defensive back, former defensive back coach or an athlete. You got to find kids that have good loose hips, especially in the secondary. Can't be stiff. And Draylon James, I tell you what, he's a kid you can put at a lot of different positions. He's a 6-footer. I just love the kid. I think he's a great athlete.
I don't think we've ever recruited anyone out of Florida, and we've had a lot of success in Florida who did not have loose hips.
No, most of those kids, again, you see them right here, just exceptional, is very comfortable with the ball in his hands.
Well, that's good, and Florida has been good to Lafayette College, so we look forward to Draylon coming on campus. Next up is Andy Lubadev. He is a young man with some Russian background. His father, by the way, was an Olympic wrestler for the USSR. And I'll tell you, if you're a wrestler, you normally can be a good offensive or defensive lineman. He is projected to be a defensive lineman, 6'4", 255 pounds. He's a wrestler, he's a hockey player, he's a football player.
Yeah, I wrote the same thing. I wrote wrestler. Just how big is this kid going to be? I mean, he's 6'4" right now. Talking to Coach Mickey Fine, who talked to him and recruited him out of Cresskill, New Jersey. We had another kid that played with me here, Matt Higgins, a defensive lineman out of Cresskill. This might be the second kid from 20 years ago from Cresskill High School. But Andy, with that wrestling background, the strong hands, like you said, the good body position, just fits right into the mold, and he's another kid that arrives to the football nasty.
And my wife, originally from Russia, Ukrainian, I think she'll be very happy to see someone with that kind of background come here to play at Lafayette College, and we'll make sure he gets a halupki or two before he gets out of here. All right, Matt Rothrock, another defensive lineman, another big kid, 6'2", 260, defensive end, defensive tackle perhaps. He was recruited by some big-time schools, Toledo, Towson, also Colgate was after him. But this is a young man that really projects to be an outstanding football player.
Yeah, and if he's anything like his former guy, Zach Sweisig, who's here already from Wilson Westline, just a good football player. He reminded me a little bit of Doty, Kevin Doty, who played for us, because he catches a lot of balls. What I noticed about Matt, he's so productive. Every time he's on the football field, he's making a play, whether it be on the offensive side or the defensive side. I think he's a 3-tech. I mean, he's very flexible in the hips. He does a lot of good things. Look at him right here. A good tight end. He runs away from people. That 87 on, he looks a little bit like Gronkowski, doesn't he? And that can't be all bad. But just love Matt. You know he's coming out of a great program down there in the Sinking Springs area. Just is going to do everything right coming in here. He's got some great skills on both sides of the football, but I think he's going to be another defensive lineman.
And you always like when you come from a football family. His father played at Maryland for Bobby Ross, so certainly a young man that's kind of grown up with football in his blood. We really, really look forward to Matt Rothrock coming on campus. Duncan Sparks, he was in the Lafayette camp last summer, came here, got a chance to look at the campus and look at the outstanding Berger Varsity Football House. He's an outside linebacker from Greensboro, North Carolina, and 6'3", 215. He's going to grow into the position, but he has the ability to do that.
Yeah, how big are these linebackers going to get, Gary? 6'3", 215. He moves well. You can see him playing maybe a Sam or a Will linebacker, being able to drop into coverage and come. But 6'3", probably 6'4" right now. But again, look at how he arrives to the football. What I wrote down about Duncan is I love the way his shoulders stay nice and square to the football. He plays downhill. The more I watched him, the more I liked him. It didn't take me 2 plays, 3 plays. It took me a good 5, 6, 7 plays to watch him. And the more I watched him, watch his shoulders stay nice and square right here. He's going to play. He opens up his hips really nice. That's a 6'4", 215-pound kid running like he's an athletic defensive back. I just love the way he plays. I mean, again, if you're a kid that wants to come and come to a camp at Lafayette, this is a kid that out of North Carolina. He came to camp. He was seen by the coaches. The coach went in to Coach Devani and said, listen, this is a player, this kid. We got to look at this kid. So attending a camp helps out, and for Duncan Sparks, it worked out terrific.
Yeah, and just a hint for head coach Frank Devani, don't let him near a bat, a baseball, or a glove. This kid was an All-American baseball player. He has decided to play football as perhaps an outside linebacker, but he, again, is projected to be an athlete who can play in a lot of different positions.
And he's also a long snapper, so you can't do it. I noticed that. I saw that on his bio. He's a long snapper, so you can't have enough of those guys.
All right, so keep him off the mound, keep him away from the shortstop position. Just don't let him think about baseball. All right, Mike, that takes care of the defensive side. We've talked both offensive, defense. We have a punter coming in. Your thoughts about this new recruiting class and whether or not all of the needs that Lafayette College brought to the new scholarship situation were met?
Well, I think it's just an exceptional class. I was so excited when I woke up this morning. This is the best day besides those 11 days in the fall that you and I get together. Just a chance to watch these kids come in, and I can actually see of these 20 kids, just the step up in ability, in speed, in size. And that's what you talk about when you're talking about a scholarship athlete. You're talking about a kid that's bigger, a kid that Lafayette couldn't talk to in years past. They just wouldn't even get a chance to get in the door and maybe get in the kid's home and look at what we have to offer. Even though the school was unbelievable academically, it just didn't carry enough weight because of the scholarship and the financial situation. Now that you have the ability to combine those two, I think it's an exceptional class. I love the linemen. You know me, I want to run the football, I want to control the line of scrimmage, little play action pass. You know, Lafayette's got some good things happening here on the hill.
You see why I enjoy sitting next to him for 10, 11 games every single season. April 20th, Mike and I will be back in the booth together, as that will be the maroon and white spring football game, and we'll be looking at some of these potential future Lafayette Leopards, and certainly with that good sophomore class, that good freshman class from last year, we're hoping for a real good football season. Once again, on GoLeopards.com, get your season tickets, $60, 5 home games, the Lafayette-Lehigh game at Lehigh, all part of that package. You must be a new season ticket holder. You can't renew at that price. But if you were here last year, you know how much fun it is to watch Lafayette College football. Mike, your job is done for the day. Thanks a lot.
Not a problem.
I'll see you on the links.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll see you guys at 3 o'clock when I've got offensive coordinator Mickey Fine. Stay with us.